hoopinhoops.com. Please subscribe, and if you like the content, let me know. I know I said somewhere around 80 games into the season would be a reasonable timeline to be able to assess the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think we've got glimpses into what they could possibly be. But clearly, with the injury to Antony Davis, it pushes the timeline back a bit. We can get a more accurate view when he spends some time playing with the team, and we could see better what they will look like. In the meantime, we have been able to get some glimpses into some of the players that have been emerging. Some of those players might be very important for the Lakers down the stretch. Malik Monk, over the last few games, 6, 7, somewhere about there, has been giving the team about 20 plus points a game. Austin Reeves has been playing pretty good as well. The Lakers has been playing small ball with LeBron James in the middle and Stanley Johnson as power forward. I see analysts getting excited about LeBron James playing center. They speak about his production, him revolutionizing the position, and all of that stuff. Quite frankly, for me, they are going a bit overboard with this. It's nice to see the Lakers have a small lineup that they could go to, but by no means I think that should be their primary lineup. When AD comes back, certainly he will replace Stanley Johnson in the lineup, and clearly, the small lineup that they have will change somewhat. If you look at the last two games against Memphis, they scored 119 points, they lost. Against Sacramento, they scored 115 points, they lost. With LeBron at the center, there is no rim protection. Any team that has a player that attacks the rim, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, they will kill the Lakers. Sure, LeBron may get one block a game, or he might show some flashes or something persons like, but I don't think anybody will see LeBron as a rim protector. The small ball lineup means it's open season on the Lakers. Um, Not that they're not already playing bad defense. Not that it's not already open season, but you were starting to see progress in their defense. They started to hold teams below 110, but with the small ball lineup, it's they got to score pretty much about 130 points to win, based on what you saw, especially in the last few games. I also hear talk about trading DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard. I get trading DG, but they should at least keep Dwight. With Dwight, when they get to the playoffs, at least they'll have a big body available aside from Anthony Davis as security based on the teams they meet. And we also know AD do not like to play center. The other thing is that I'm hearing they're interested in getting Jeremy Grant. If they can get him, they should go ahead and make the trade. I know the money has to match, so it's not likely that they could get Grant without giving up Horton Tucker. But I say go for it. If the Lakers get Grant, this is what they should do. Or, well, I should say, this is what I would do. I would put Russell Westbrook on the bench. I would have him lead the bench. I could see people rolling their eyes, but I will explain in just a second. You would now have a starting lineup with AD, LeBron, Jeremy Grant, Malik Monk, and Avery Bradley. A lot of the defensive issues in the starting lineup would be resolved. It would now be a matter of figuring out the bench rotation. I heard chatter that Grant did not want to play or be the third string in Denver on Denver Nuggets. So why would he want to be fourth in LA? Those persons who are saying that he didn't want to be fifth, be third, sorry, um, I don't think that they thought this thing completely. They didn't think about it completely through. Grant saw himself as either fourth or probably even lower, but certainly not third. People are forgetting, in addition to the Joker, Marie, there was also Michael Porter Jr. And I could give an argument why Grant may have seen himself even lower down in terms of importance on the team. So he definitely was not third. The other thing is, whether he was happy or not, he went out and worked his tail off. Right now, he's under contract until 2023. And as long as he continues to be professional, which we have no indication that he will not be, he will be a good addition to the team for the rest of this year and for the whole of next year. Once his contract is up, you have time, you could evaluate him, see if you want to bring him back or if he wants to come back as well. The other thing is with Russ, when you put him on the bench, he can go and do what he usually does, his aggression and the way he attacks the rim and all the stuff that is Russ. Usually the bench for the Lakers does not give much. And that will be an opportunity for us to make a meaningful contribution, possibly making the Lakers bench strong for, one of the first times in how many years. If not, whatever addition Russ gives, it will be a plus because, as I said, normally you really don't get much from the Lakers bench. Of course, there's a risk of him being unhappy that you put him on the bench and decides he wants to be a distraction. It's a gamble you take. That is where the tough decision comes in. If he decides he's going to be a distraction, you decide whether he rides the bench or whether you give him playing time. But let me explain this a little bit. I hear a little further, in fact, not just a little bit. Um, I hear persons recommending fining Russ if he takes bad shots. You know those bank shots he take, some of it hitting the shot clock, and some of those off shots. I really don't understand it. Um, there are also recommendations about him playing off the ball and rolling to the rim, similar to how Robertson in OKC back in the days when what's his name? They had KD and some of these guys back then. This is the thing I will tell persons. Name the time in the history of the game that a player that's making 44 million a year, that is considered a superstar, whatever that means, that is as important to the offense of the team, that the coach and players have to work this hard to get him to contribute positively towards the team. Now we could bring up Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics, but one, the Celtics did not have to work that hard with him. And at least he was the number one option offensively. Hell, Russ is not even the number two option when AD comes back. Worse, persons are saying fine him for taking a bad shot. That's not realistic, but it tells you the extreme the team has to go to so that Russ is not a liability. The thing is, he thinks his other contributions are making up for all the bad he's contributing to the team. Let me also say, Russell was brought on to the team to reduce LeBron's workload offensively. Instead, it looks like he's causing LeBron to do more. It must be frustrating because you see the problems he creates for the team. I don't understand how a professional basketball player does some of those things. For example, one of the first things a coach drums into your head is do not leave your feet, do not jump and then look to make a pass. It may happen every once in a while. Sometimes you get caught unexpected or something happens. But the frequency with which it is happening with Russell Westbrook is puzzling. And then there's the turnovers. There is also the misses right around the rim, whether it be dunks, layups, whatever it may be. And we could go on, but you get the point. He makes the game a lot more difficult than it should be. Because when he does those things, it means that now the team has to play catch up, or they have to make up for, or work harder on defense. They've got to run back, and the game just gets a lot more difficult. The Lakers clearly may have to keep Russ for the rest of the season, and for obvious reasons. But they should try to get whatever they can for him when the off season comes around. If he does not get a wake up call, as I said, trade him, figure out a way, to move on past him. Even if they get some players that they don't really think fits the system, they could waive the players. At least they will get cap space to go after someone they think fits the team better. Hoopinhoops.com